Captain Lyrelay Moonweaver stood on the bridge of her ship, the Star Whisper. Her long silver hair moved gently as she turned to look at the main screen. The stars looked peaceful, but she knew danger was coming. Her pointed ears twitched as she heard the alarm sounds getting louder. "Captain, we have incoming ships," said her first officer, Sylviana Dawnblade. Her voice was calm, but Lyrelay could hear the worry underneath. Sylviana had been her friend for many years. They had grown up together on their home world of Etheria Prime. Lyrelay looked at the screen. Red dots appeared at the edge of their sensors. There were many of them. Too many. Her heart began to beat faster. "How many ships are there?" "At least 50, Captain. Maybe more behind them." Sylviana's hands moved quickly over her control panel. "They are moving fast, very fast." The bridge was quiet, except for the soft humming of the ship's systems. The Star Whisper was a beautiful ship. Its walls curved like tree branches. Soft blue, lights glowed like moonlight. Everything was made to feel peaceful and natural. The elves did not like sharp edges or harsh lights. They wanted their ships to feel like home. But now their peaceful ship felt very small. Lyrelay knew what those red dots meant. The Krillian horde had found them. "Send a message to all our colonies," Lyrelay said. "Tell them to prepare for attack. Tell them to run if they can." "Yes, Captain." Sylviana's fingers moved over the controls, but they both knew it might be too late. The Krillians moved faster than most ships. They did not care about being careful or safe. They only cared about killing and taking what they wanted. Commander Arya Stormwind walked onto the bridge. She was in charge of their small defense force. Her face was serious. "Captain, I have bad news. The Krillians have already attacked 3 of our outer colonies. They destroyed everything. No survivors." Lyrelay felt sick. 3 colonies meant thousands of her people were dead. Men, women, and children who had never hurt anyone. The elves were peaceful people. They grew beautiful gardens and made wonderful art. They studied the stars and wrote poetry. They did not know how to fight wars. "What about our weapons?" Lyrelay asked. "Can we stop them?" Arya shook her head. "Our energy beams do not work well against their armor. Their ships seem to absorb our attacks, and they have so many ships. We only have 12 vessels in this system." The main screen showed the enemy ships getting closer. They looked like giant insects made of metal and bone. Sharp spikes covered their hulls. They moved in a swarm, just like real insects. Lyrelay had seen pictures of them before, but seeing them in person was much worse. "Captain," said Lieutenant Ilara Nightshade from her position at the communication station, "we are getting reports from the 4th planet. The Krillians have landed there. They are killing everyone they find." Lyrelay closed her eyes for a moment. Her people were dying, and she could not stop it. The elves had lived in peace for thousands of years. They had forgotten how to fight. Their ships were made for exploring and trading, not for war. "Open a channel to the lead Krillian ship," Lyrelay said. "Captain, what are you doing?" Sylviana asked. "Maybe I can talk to them. Maybe they will listen to reason." Arya stepped forward. "Captain, the Krillians do not talk. They only kill. Every species that has tried to negotiate with them is now extinct." But Lyrelay had to try. She was the captain. These were her people. Open the channel. The screen flickered. A horrible face appeared. It looked like a giant bug with too many eyes and sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "Weak elves. Your worlds belong to us now. Your people will feed our young. Surrender and die quickly or fight and die slowly. Choose." The channel closed before Lyrelay could answer. She felt cold all over. There would be no talking, no peaceful solution. The Krillians wanted to kill every elf in the galaxy. "Captain, what are your orders?" Arya asked. Lyrelay looked around her. Bridge. These people trusted her. They needed her to be strong. But what could she do? Their weapons were weak. Their ships were slow. They had never trained for real war. "Send out a distress call," she said finally. "Send it to everyone. Every species in the galaxy. Maybe someone will help us." "Captain," Sylviana said softly, "most species are afraid of the Krillians. They will not want to get involved." Then we sent it anyway. We have to try everything. Ilara began working on the message. What should I say, Captain? Lyrelai thought for a moment. Tell them we are peaceful people under attack. Tell them the Krillians are destroying everything. Tell them that if they do not stop the Krillians, here, they might be next. The distress signal went out across space. It would take time to reach other star systems, time they might not have. The Krillian ships were getting closer. Soon they would be close enough to attack. Captain, Arya said, I recommend we evacuate the civilian ships first. Get as many people away as possible. Do it, Lyrelai agreed. How long do we have? Maybe 2 hours before they reach us. 2 hours to save millions of lives. It was not enough time. But they had to try. Far away, in a distant star system, the human colony ship New Haven received the distress call. Admiral Kate Morrison read the message twice. She had heard of the Krillians before. They were bad news, very bad news. Morrison was a tall woman with short brown hair and scars on her face from old battles. She had been fighting wars for 30 years. She knew what the Krillians did to peaceful species. Get me Earth Command, she told her communication officer. Priority 1. Within minutes, she was talking to General Lisa Rodriguez back on Earth. Rodriguez appeared on the screen. She looked tired, but her eyes were sharp. Kate, we got the distress call too. What do you think? I think those elves are about to be wiped out, Morrison said. The Krillians do not take prisoners. They do not show mercy. If we do not help, every elf in that system will be dead within a week. Rodriguez was quiet for a moment. How long to get a fleet there? 3 days if we push hard. Maybe 2.5. Do it. I am authorizing a full military response. Show the galaxy what happens when someone attacks innocent people. Morrison smiled. It was not a nice smile. Yes, ma'am. Prep the fleet. We are going to war. Back on the Star Whisper, Lyrelai watched the evacuation ships leave. They looked so small against the dark of space. Behind them, the Krillian swarm grew larger and closer. She did not know if anyone would answer their call for help. She could only hope that somewhere in the galaxy, someone cared enough to try. Admiral Kate Morrison stood in the command center of Earth's largest military base. The room was filled with screens and flashing lights. Officers moved quickly between workstations. Everyone knew something big was happening. General Lisa Rodriguez walked up to Morrison. How many ships can we get ready? Morrison looked at her datapad. 43 combat vessels, plus support ships, the entire 3rd Fleet and half of the 7th Fleet. That should be enough to handle the Krillians, Rodriguez said. More than enough, Morrison agreed. She had fought the Krillians before, 5 years ago. They were tough, but they had never faced a full human battle fleet. What about ground forces? Colonel Amy Garcia is loading her Marines now. 2,000 of our best fighters. Rodriguez pointed to another screen. They will be ready to go in 6 hours. Morrison nodded. Amy Garcia was good at her job. Very good. Her Marines had never lost a battle. They were trained to fight in any condition, on any world. They did not give up, and they did not leave anyone behind. Admiral, called Lieutenant Sarah Kim from her station, Captain Thompson is ready to depart with the Iron Fist. Morrison smiled. Maya Thompson was one of her best ship captains. The Iron Fist was humanity's newest dreadnought. It was huge, heavily armed, and built for one thing: destroying enemy ships. Tell Captain Thompson to wait for the rest of the fleet, Morrison said. We go together or not at all. Across the base, Captain Maya Thompson stood on the bridge of the Iron Fist. Her ship was 3 miles long and covered in weapons. Unlike the curved, natural lines of elven ships, the Iron Fist was all sharp angles and thick armor. It looked exactly like what it was, a machine built for war. Status report, Thompson called out. All weapons loaded and ready, said her weapons officer, Lieutenant Commander Rachel Stone. Railguns, missile pods, and laser batteries all online. Engineering reports ready for jump, added Chief Engineer Kelly White. We can maintain battle speed for 72 hours straight. Thompson looked out at space through the main viewport. Soon they would jump to the Elven system. Soon they would fight. She had read the reports about what the Krillians did to peaceful species. It made her angry, very angry. Ma'am, said her communication officer, Admiral Morrison wants to speak with you. Morrison's face appeared on the screen. Maya, how is your ship? Ready for battle, Admiral. My crew wants to help those elves. Good. Remember, the Krillians fight dirty. They use bioweapons, poison gas, and they target civilians. Do not expect them to follow any rules of war. Thompson's face got hard. Understood. We will not show them any mercy either. In the ship's loading bay, Colonel Amy Garcia watched her Marines prepare their equipment. Each Marine wore power armor that made them look like metal giants. The armor was painted dark green with red stripes. On the chest of each suit was the symbol of Earth, a blue planet with white clouds. "Listen up," Garcia called out. Her voice was loud and clear. "We are going to help some aliens called elves. They are peaceful people. They do not know how to fight. Bad aliens called Krillians are trying to kill all of them." Staff Sergeant Nicole Brooks raised her hand. "Colonel, what can you tell us about Krillian tactics?" "They fight like insects. They swarm their enemies. They use numbers instead of skill. But they are tough, and they do not fear death." Garcia walked between the rows of Marines. "We will be boarding their ships and fighting them face to face. Stay with your squad, watch each other's backs, and remember, every minute we delay, more innocent elves die." The Marines checked their weapons one more time. Each one carried an assault rifle that fired special bullets. The bullets were made of depleted uranium and could punch through almost any armor. They also had grenades, knives, and small rocket launchers. "Brooks," Garcia said, "your squad takes point when we board enemy ships. Martinez, your squad covers the rear. Johnson, you handle demolitions." "Yes, ma'am," they all said together. Meanwhile, in the pilot ready room, Lieutenant Commander Stone talked to the fighter pilots. There were 200 of them, all young and eager to fight. "The Krillians have fast attack ships," Stone explained. "They like to get close and use their claws and teeth to tear apart enemy fighters. Do not let them get close. Use your speed. And stay at long range?" Pilot Lisa Chen raised her hand. "Ma'am, what if our weapons do not work against their armor?" "Then you ram them," Stone said simply. "Human pilots are better than any alien pilot in the galaxy. We think faster, react quicker, and we never give up. Use that advantage." Back in the command center, Admiral Morrison received a message from the Elven system. She read it quickly. Her face got darker with each word. "General, the situation is getting worse. The Krillians have destroyed 6 Elven colonies. They are moving toward the main planet now." Rodriguez looked at the timeline on her screen. "How long until our fleet gets there?" 54 hours at maximum speed." "Will the elves last that long?" Morrison studied the tactical reports. "Maybe, if they run and hide. But the Krillians will. Keep hunting them until they find every last elf. Then we better get moving." Morrison walked to the fleet communication station. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. We have our orders. Jump in formation to the Etherian system. Full battle. Speed. We are going to save those elves and show the galaxy what happens when someone attacks innocent people." One by one, the human warships activated their jump drives. Space twisted and bent around them as they disappeared into hyperspace. The Iron Fist led the way, followed by 39 other warships and dozens of support vessels. In hyperspace, the fleet traveled faster than light. The ships looked like streaks of silver racing through the strange blue energy of jump space. Inside the ships, thousands of human soldiers prepared for battle. Captain Thompson studied the intelligence reports about the Krillian fleet. "They have more ships than us," she told her officers. "But their ships are smaller and weaker. Our dreadnoughts can take anything they have." "What about their bioweapons?" asked Lieutenant Stone. "Our armor is sealed against chemical and biological attacks. As long as we do not breathe their air or touch their blood, we should be fine." Colonel Garcia gathered her squad leaders for a final briefing. "The elves think we are crazy for using kinetic weapons instead of energy beams. They think we are primitive. Let them think that. When the Krillians see what our primitive weapons can do, they will wish they had never heard of humans." Sergeant Brooks grinned inside her helmet. "Colonel, my squad is ready to show them how Earth Marines fight." "Good. Remember, we are not just fighting for the elves. We are fighting for every peaceful species in the galaxy. If we let the Krillians win here, they will think they can attack anyone they want." Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Warhammer. Through the viewport, she could see the blue energy of hyperspace flowing past. In less than 2 days, they would arrive at the Elven system. They would face an enemy that had conquered dozens of worlds and killed billions of innocent people. But the Krillians had never faced humans before. They had never faced a species that had evolved on a death world. They had never fought an enemy that got stronger when threatened, that fought harder when outnumbered, that never surrendered no matter how bad things got. "Admiral," said her tactical officer, "we are receiving another message from the Elven fleet." Put it on screen. A beautiful Elven woman appeared. She had long silver hair and sad blue eyes. "This is Captain Lyra Lay Moonweaver of the Star Whisper. Is anyone out there? The Krillians are destroying everything. My people are dying. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help." Morrison looked at the message timestamp. It was 12 hours old. By now, the situation would be much worse. "Send a reply," Morrison ordered. "Tell Captain Moonweaver that the human fleet is coming. Tell her to hold on. Tell her that in 40 hours the Krillians will regret ever attacking her people." The message was sent, racing through space at light speed. Soon the elves would know that help was coming. They would know that the most dangerous species in the galaxy was coming to save them. Morrison smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "All ships, increase to maximum battle speed. Those elves have been waiting long enough." Captain Lyra Lay Moonweaver held onto her chair as another explosion shook the Star Whisper. Outside her ship, 3 more Elven vessels were burning. The Krillians had been attacking for 26 hours straight. Her people were losing badly. "Captain," called Sylviana from her station, "I am getting a strange message. It says the human fleet is coming to help us." Lyra felt a spark of hope. "Humans? Are you sure?" "Yes, Captain. The message is from Admiral Kate Morrison of the Human Third Fleet. They will be here in 14 hours. Commander Arya Stormwind looked up from her tactical display. "Captain, I have heard stories about humans. They are supposed to be very dangerous. Some call them Deathworlders." "Dangerous to who?" Lyra asked. "Us or the Krillians?" "I do not know," Arya admitted. "But if they are coming to help us, I hope they are dangerous to our enemies." The bridge shook again as Krillian weapons hit their shields. The beautiful blue lights that normally glowed softly were now flickering. Several control panels showed red warning signs. "Shields at 30%, reported Lieutenant Alara Nightshade. "Hull damage on decks 4 and 7. We cannot take much more of this." Lyra made a hard decision. "Signal all remaining ships. We retreat to the asteroid, field near the 4th moon. We hide until the humans arrive." "Captain, what about the colonies on the surface?" Sylviana asked quietly. Lyra closed her eyes. She knew what was happening on the planets below. The Krillians were killing everyone they found. But if she stayed, to fight, her ships would be destroyed, and then there would be no one left to help when the humans arrived. "We retreat," she said firmly. "We must survive to guide the humans when they get here." 14 hours later, space near the 4th moon suddenly filled with flashing lights. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. Lyra had never seen ships like these before. The Elven ships were beautiful, with smooth curves and elegant lines. They looked like pieces of art floating in space. But the human ships looked like weapons. They were huge, dark, and covered with guns and armor. The largest ship was 3 times bigger than anything the elves had ever built. "Captain," Ilara said with wonder in her voice, "they have 43 warships, plus many smaller support vessels. I count over 80 ships total." On the flagship Warhammer, Admiral Morrison studied the tactical display. The Krillian fleet was spread out across the system, busy destroying Elven colonies. They had not noticed the human fleet yet. "Admiral," said her communication officer, "the Elven ship Star Whisper is trying to contact us." "Put them through," Morrison ordered. The main screen showed a beautiful Elven woman with silver hair and pointed ears. She looked tired and worried, but also hopeful. "Admiral Morrison, this is Captain Lyra Moonweaver. Thank you for coming. We did not think anyone would answer our call for help." Morrison looked at the Elven captain. She was small and delicate, like all her people. It was hard to believe that anyone would want to hurt such peaceful beings. "Captain Moonweaver, we received your distress call. We are here to help. I need you and your officers to come aboard my ship so we can plan our attack." "Yes, Admiral," We will be there in 1 hour. Morrison turned to her tactical officer. While we wait, I want full scans of the Krillian fleet. Find their command ship. Find their weakness. An hour later, Captain Moonweaver and her senior officers beamed aboard the Warhammer. They had never been on a human ship before. The corridors were wide and straight with harsh white lights. Everything was made of metal and hard angles. There were no plants or natural materials anywhere. When they reached the briefing room, they got their first close look at humans. Admiral Morrison was tall and broad, with short brown hair and scars on her face. She looked like she could break. An elf in half with her bare hands. "Welcome aboard," Morrison said. Her voice was deep and strong. "Please, sit down." The elves sat carefully in chairs that were too big for them. Around the table were other human officers. They all looked dangerous and serious. "Captain Moonweaver," Morrison began, "tell me about the Krillian fleet. What are their strengths and weaknesses?" Commander Arya Stormwind spoke up. "Admiral, they have 67 ships. Most are light cruisers and destroyers. They have 3 heavy battleships that seem to be their main weapons. What about their tactics?" asked Captain Maya Thompson, who had joined the meeting from the Iron Fist. "They attack in swarms," Arya explained. "They use their numbers to overwhelm single targets. Their ships have organic armor that seems to absorb energy weapons. Our beams barely damage them." Colonel Amy Garcia leaned forward. "What about their ground forces?" Counselor Alara Nightshade answered. "They are like giant insects. They have sharp claws and teeth. They move very fast and they do not seem to feel pain. They also use some kind of poison gas that kills most oxygen-breathing species." Morrison nodded. "How many elven civilians are still alive?" Lyrelai's face became sad. "We estimate 3 million on the main planet. Maybe 500,000 scattered across the other colonies. But the Krillians are hunting them. Every hour more of my people die." Morrison looked around the table at her officers. They all had the same expression. Cold anger. The humans did not like bullies. They especially did not like bullies who hurt innocent people. "Here is what we are going to do," Morrison said. "Captain Thompson, your Iron Fist and the other dreadnoughts will attack their main battle group, hit them hard and fast, make them think you are our entire fleet." "Yes, Admiral," Thompson said with a grin. "My crew will be happy to introduce the Krillians to human firepower." Morrison turned to Garcia. "Colonel, while Thompson keeps them busy, you take your Marines and board their command ship. We need to capture their computers and find out where their other fleets are." "My Marines are ready, Admiral. Those bugs will not know what hit them." "What about the smaller ships attacking the colonies?" asked Lieutenant Commander Stone. "Our destroyers and cruisers will handle them. Fast hit-and-run attacks. Save as many civilians as possible." Lyrelai spoke up nervously. "Admiral, the Krillians are very dangerous. They have conquered many worlds. Are you sure your fleet can defeat them?" Morrison looked at the elven captain. "Captain, my species evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We learned to fight predators that were bigger, faster, and stronger than us. We survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that lasted for centuries. The Krillians think they are apex predators." She smiled, and it was not a nice smile. "They are about to learn they are wrong." Captain Thompson stood up. "Admiral, with your permission, I would like to return to my ship. My crew is eager to begin." "Go ahead, Maya. All ships will attack in 2 hours. That gives the Krillians time to spread out more. The more scattered they are, the easier it will be to defeat them in pieces." As the human officers left to prepare for battle, Lyrelai felt amazed and frightened at the same time. These humans talked about fighting like it was something they enjoyed. They seemed excited about the coming battle. "Admiral," Lyrelai said quietly, "your people are very different from mine." Morrison sat back down. "Captain, your people build beautiful things and live in peace. That is good. The galaxy needs people like you. But peace only works when someone is willing to fight for it. That is what my people do. We fight so that people like you do not have to." "But you seem to enjoy war," Silviana observed. "We do not enjoy war," Morrison corrected. "We enjoy protecting innocent people. We enjoy stopping bullies. And yes, we are very good at fighting. It is what we were made for." Commander Arya asked, "What happens after the battle? Will your people want to rule our worlds?" Morrison looked surprised. Rule your worlds? Why would we want to do that? You govern yourselves just fine. We just want to make sure you can continue to do so without fear. Back on the Iron Fist, Captain Thompson gathered her senior officers. The Admiral wants us to hit their main fleet hard. I want all weapons loaded and ready. Target their biggest ships first. Ma'am, said Chief Engineer Kelly White. Engineering. Reports all systems at full power. We can fire continuously for 6 hours before we need to recharge. Lieutenant Commander Stone pulled up the tactical display. The Krillian battleships are staying close together. If we come in fast and hit them with everything we have, we can destroy at least 2 of them before they know what is happening. Good, Thompson said. Load the railguns with armor-piercing rounds. Target their engines first, then their weapons. I want those ships disabled, not destroyed. We might learn something from their wreckage. In the Marine Bay, Colonel Garcia gave her final briefing. Remember, these Krillians think they are the toughest fighters in the galaxy. They have never faced human Marines before. Show them what Earth's finest can do. Sergeant Brooks checked her squad's equipment one more time. Colonel, what about their poison gas? Our suits are sealed. As long as you do not take your helmet off, you will be fine. And even if they breach your suit, you have antitoxin injectors in your medical kit. The time for talking was over. Throughout the human fleet, thousands of sailors, marines, and pilots prepared for battle. They checked their weapons, said prayers to whatever gods they believed in, and thought about home. The Iron Fist fired first. Captain Maya Thompson watched as 6 massive railgun rounds streaked across space at incredible speed. The Krillian battleship never saw them coming. The uranium projectiles hit with the force of small meteors, punching completely through the organic armor that had stopped elven energy beams. Direct hits, reported Lieutenant Commander Rachel Stone. Enemy battleship is venting atmosphere. Engines are offline. Target the second battleship, Thompson ordered. Fire all forward weapons. Across the human fleet, 43 warships opened fire at the same time. The space between the fleets lit up with missile trails, laser beams, and railgun rounds. The Krillians had never seen anything like it. On the Star Whisper, Captain Lyra Lai Moonweaver watched in amazement. Sylviana, are you seeing this? Yes, Captain. The human weapons are going right through Krillian armor like it is not even there. The largest Krillian battleship tried to turn toward the human fleet. Its biocannons began charging, glowing with green energy. But before it could fire, 12 missiles from the human cruiser Thunderbolt slammed into its hull. The explosions tore huge holes in the alien ship. By the stars, whispered Commander Aria Stormwind. Those humans fight like nothing I have ever seen. Admiral Morrison watched the tactical display from the bridge of the Warhammer. The Krillian fleet was in chaos. They had been spread out across the system, hunting elven civilians. Now they were trying to group together to fight back, but the humans were not giving them time. Ma'am, called her tactical officer, the Krillian command ship is trying to escape. It is heading for the jump point. Not today, Morrison said grimly. Garcia, are your Marines ready? Colonel Amy Garcia's voice came over the communication system. Marines are loaded and ready to go, Admiral. Just get us close to that command ship. Thompson, pursue the command ship. Garcia's Marines need to board it before it jumps away. The Iron Fist turned toward the fleeing Krillian vessel. It was a massive bioship that looked like a giant spider. Its legs were covered in weapons, and its central body was protected by thick armor. But it was not fast enough to escape a human dreadnought. Closing on the command ship, Thompson reported. Range 50,000 kilometers and closing. Inside the Iron Fist's launch bay, Sergeant Nicole Brooks and her squad waited in their boarding pod. Each Marine wore power armor that made them look like metal giants. Their weapons were checked and ready. 30 seconds to launch, Garcia announced. Remember, we need their computer core intact. Try not to blow up the whole ship. Yes, ma'am, Brooks replied. My squad will secure the bridge. Martinez takes engineering. Johnson handles their weapon systems. The boarding pod launched from the Iron Fist like a bullet. It streaked toward the Krillian command ship, its armor glowing from the speed. The pod had been built to punch through enemy hulls and deliver Marines directly into hostile ships. The Krillians saw it coming and tried to shoot it down. Green energy beams reached out toward the small pod, but it was too fast and too well armored. It hit the enemy ship's hull and disappeared inside in a shower of sparks and torn metal. Inside the pod, the Marines felt the impact. Their armor absorbed most of the shock, but it was still like being hit by a truck. "Sound off," Garcia ordered as the pod doors opened. "Squad 1 ready," Brooks reported. "Squad 2 ready," Martinez called out. "Squad 3 ready," Johnson added. They were inside a dark corridor that pulsed with organic lights. The walls looked like the inside of a living creature. Strange slime dripped from the ceiling. The air smelled like rotting meat. "Gross," muttered one of the Marines. "This place is like being inside a giant bug." "Stay focused," Garcia warned. "Enemy contact incoming." The first Krillians appeared at the end of the corridor. They were 8 feet tall and looked like giant mantises. Their claws were as long as swords, and their eyes glowed red in the darkness. They moved fast, skittering along the walls and ceiling like real insects. Brooks raised her rifle and fired. The depleted uranium rounds tore through the lead Krillian like paper. Green blood splattered the walls as the alien collapsed. "Contact front," she called out. "Multiple hostiles." More Krillians poured into the corridor. They moved in a swarm, just like their ships, but human Marines were ready for swarm tactics. They had been trained to fight in confined spaces against multiple enemies. "Grenades out," Garcia ordered. 4 explosive grenades bounced down the corridor. The explosions lit up the organic walls and filled the air with smoke and alien blood. When the smoke cleared, a dozen Krillians lay dead. "Move up," Garcia commanded. "Johnson, take your squad to engineering. Martinez, find their weapon control room. Brooks, you are with me. We are going to the bridge." The Marines split up and moved deeper into the alien ship. They encountered more Krillians at every turn, but the aliens had never fought enemies like human Marines before. The humans were stronger, better armed, and they worked together perfectly. Sergeant Martinez and her squad reached the weapon control room. It was filled with organic computers that pulsed like beating hearts. 3 Krillians were operating the controls, trying to fire on the human fleet. "Take them down," Martinez ordered. Her squad opened fire. The Krillians tried to fight back with their claws and teeth, but human power armor was too strong. The aliens could not even scratch the metal suits. "Weapons offline," Martinez reported. "Johnson, how are you doing in engineering?" "Almost there," Johnson replied. His squad was fighting their way through a maze of organic pipes and conduits. "These bugs really like their biological technology." Meanwhile, Brooks and Garcia reached the bridge. It was a large chamber with a high ceiling. In the center was a raised platform where the Krillian commander stood. He was bigger than the others, with 4 arms and spikes covering his back. "Humans," the commander hissed. "You should not have come here. This galaxy belongs to the Horde." Garcia raised her rifle. "Not anymore," the commander charged, moving. Faster than anything that size should be able to move. But Garcia was ready. She had been fighting aliens for 15 years. She rolled to the side and fired 3 shots into the creature's chest. The commander staggered, but did not fall. Green blood poured from his wounds, but he kept coming. His claws reached for Garcia's helmet. Brooks appeared behind the commander and fired her rifle into his back. The armor-piercing rounds punched through his natural armor and exploded inside. His body. The alien commander collapsed, finally dead. "Bridge secure," Garcia reported. "Brooks, get on those computers. Download everything." Outside the command ship, the battle was turning into a massacre. The human fleet had destroyed or disabled 30 Krillian vessels. The remaining aliens were trying to retreat, but human. Ships were faster and better armed. Captain Thompson watched as another Krillian cruiser broke apart under fire from her railguns. "That is 23 confirmed kills for the Iron Fist," she announced to her crew. "Ma'am," Stone reported, "the smaller Krillian ships attacking the colonies are also retreating. Our destroyers have saved 6 civilian settlements." On the Star Whisper, Captain Moonweaver could hardly believe what she was seeing. In less than 2 hours, the humans had completely destroyed the Krillian fleet that had been terrorizing her people for days. "Captain," Sylviana said with wonder, "the humans are not just winning. They are dominating. The Krillians are running away." "I have never seen anything like this," Arya admitted. "The humans fight like they were born for war." Admiral Morrison received reports from across the battlefield. "All ships report status. Iron Fist here, no damage. 23 enemy kills. Thunderbolt. Reporting, minor hull damage. 15 enemy kills. Warhammer shows green across the board. 18 enemy kills. The reports continued. The human fleet had lost no ships and suffered only minor damage. The Krillian fleet was finished. Garcia, what is your status? Morrison asked. Command ship is secure, Admiral. We have their computer core. Looks like they have been planning attacks on 12 other systems. All peaceful species. Morrison felt cold anger in her chest. The Krillians had not just attacked the elves. They were planning to destroy 12 more civilizations. Download everything, she ordered. Every star chart, every battle plan, every piece of intelligence. We are going to find every Krillian fleet in this sector and destroy them all. On the surface of Etheria Prime, elven civilians looked up at the sky. The flashes of battle were visible even in daylight. They had been hiding in caves and forests for days, waiting to die. But now the flashes were stopping. The Krillian ships that had been hunting them were either destroyed or running away. In the distance, they could see human shuttles landing. Marines in power armor were stepping out, their weapons ready to protect any survivors they found. One little elven girl ran up to a Marine. She was dirty and scared, but alive. The Marine knelt down and removed his helmet, revealing a kind human face. It is okay, the Marine said gently. You are safe now. The bad aliens are gone. The girl looked up at the huge human soldier. Are you here to protect us? The Marine smiled. Yes, little one. We are here to protect you. And we are never going to let anyone hurt your people again. All across the system, the same scene was repeated. Human Marines finding elven survivors and promising them safety. Human medics treating wounded civilians. Human engineers beginning to repair damaged cities. 3 days after the battle, Captain Lyrelay Moonweaver stood on the bridge of the Star Whisper and looked out at space. Where the Krillian fleet had once spread death and terror, there was now only floating debris. The human ships moved among the wreckage like metal sharks, making sure no enemy had survived. Captain, Sylviana said softly, Admiral Morrison is asking to meet with you again. She wants to discuss the future. Lyrelay nodded. The humans had saved her people, but she still did not fully understand them. They were so different from elves. Where her people were gentle and peaceful, the humans were hard and dangerous. Yet, they had risked their lives to save strangers. An hour later, Lyrelay found herself in the conference room aboard the Warhammer. Admiral Morrison was there, along with Captain Thompson and Colonel Garcia. The human officers looked tired but satisfied. Captain Moonweaver, Morrison began, my intelligence officers have finished studying the Krillian computer files. What we found is disturbing. Lyrelay felt her heart sink. More bad news? The Krillians were planning to attack 12 other star systems after they finished with yours. All peaceful species. Traders, explorers, artists. People like your own. Commander Arya Stormwind, who had accompanied Lyrelay, leaned forward. 12 systems? How many people would have died? Captain Thompson answered grimly. Billions. The Krillians do not take prisoners or slaves. They kill everyone and take the planets for themselves. But you stopped them, Lyrelay said. My people are safe now. Morrison shook her head. Your people are safe from this Krillian fleet, but there are others. The files show at least 6 more Horde fleets operating in nearby sectors. Each one has enough ships to destroy several civilizations. Lyrelay felt overwhelmed. What can we do? The elves are not warriors. We cannot fight fleets like that. You do not have to, Morrison said firmly. That is what we are for. Colonel Garcia spoke. Up. Admiral Morrison has contacted Earth Command. They are sending more fleets to hunt down the remaining Krillians. We are going to find every one of their ships and destroy them. But why? Arya asked. You barely know us. Why would you risk your people's lives for strangers? Morrison was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was serious. Colonel, my people learned something important in our history. Evil only wins when good people do nothing. We cannot stand by and watch innocent species get slaughtered. Thompson nodded. Besides, the Krillians would come for us eventually. Better to stop them now, while we choose the time and place to fight. Lyrelay studied the human faces around the table. These people had traveled across the galaxy to help her species. They had fought a terrible enemy without asking for anything in return. But she could see the cost in their eyes. Some of their people had been hurt in the fighting. Some might never go home. "What do you want from us?" Lorelei asked. Morrison looked surprised. "Want from you? You saved us? There must be something you want in return. Technology? Resources? Tribute?" The human officers looked at each other and laughed. It was not a mean laugh, but one of genuine amusement. "Captain," Morrison said with a smile, "we do not want anything from you. We want something for you." "I do not understand." Garcia leaned forward. "We want you to be safe. We want your people to live in peace and create beautiful things. We want your children to grow up without fear. But in return," Thompson added, "we hope you will help us help others. We are good at fighting, but you are good at other things. Diplomacy, art, healing, the galaxy needs both kinds of people. Over the next few days, elven and human representatives worked together to plan the future. The humans would establish a small base in the Etherian system to protect against future attacks. In return, the elves would share their knowledge of peaceful species throughout the galaxy who might need protection. Captain Moonweaver found herself working closely with Colonel Garcia to set up refugee centers for survivors from other Krillian attacks. The colonel was teaching elven volunteers how to provide first aid and trauma counseling. "Your people have gentle hands," Garcia observed as she watched an elven medic treat a wounded human marine. "You are natural healers." "Your people have strong hearts," Lyra Lee replied. "You are natural protectors." 1 week after the battle, Admiral Morrison received a message that made her smile. Earth Command reported that human fleets had found and destroyed 2 more Krillian Horde fleets. Hundreds of millions of innocent lives had been saved, but the most important message came from an unexpected source. The Galactic Trade Council, which represented over 50 peaceful species, sent an official communication to Earth. Morrison read it aloud to her senior staff. "To the government and people of Earth, we have heard of your actions in the Etherian system. We formally request that humanity consider joining the Galactic Trade Council as a protective member. Many of our species live in fear of aggressive neighbors. We believe your presence would bring peace to the galaxy." Captain Thompson whistled softly. 50 species asking us to be their protectors? That is a big responsibility." "It is also a big opportunity," Morrison replied. "We could help build a galaxy where peaceful people do not have to fear bullies and conquerors." Colonel Garcia nodded. "My Marines would like that. Most of us joined the military to protect innocent people. This would let us do that on a galactic scale." Back on the Star Whisper, Lorelei received similar news. The Elven High Council had voted unanimously to form a permanent alliance with humanity. They would provide diplomatic services, medical aid, and technological research. In return, humans would protect Elven space and help defend other peaceful species. "It is a good partnership," Arya observed. "They provide the sword, we provide the wisdom to know when to use it." Sylviana was reading reports from across the galaxy. "Captain, 12 more species have asked for human protection. Word is spreading fast about what happened here." "And the Krillians?" Lorelei asked. "Running scared. Intelligence reports suggest they are retreating to the galactic rim. They do not want to face human fleets." As the weeks passed, the partnership between humans and elves grew stronger. Human Marines trained alongside Elven diplomats, learning about peaceful negotiation. Elven healers worked with human medics, sharing advanced medical techniques. Most importantly, they worked together to find and rescue survivors of Krillian attacks. Every ship they saved, every life they protected, made the galaxy a little bit safer. Captain Moonweaver stood in her garden aboard the Star Whisper, tending to flowers that had been gifts from human friends. Each bloom was a different color, representing a different species that was now under human protection. Admiral Morrison found her there during one of her visits. The human admiral looked out of place among the delicate plants, but she seemed peaceful. "Beautiful garden," Morrison observed. "Each flower represents a species that no longer has to fear extinction," Lorelei explained. "Your people have given them the gift of safety." Morrison picked up a small watering can and helped tend the flowers. "My people have always been good at fighting, but I think we are learning to be good at other things too, such as friendship, partnership, building something instead of just destroying it. Lyrelei smiled. The galaxy is a big place, Admiral. There is room for both warriors and gardeners. On Earth, General Rodriguez read the latest reports with satisfaction. Human fleets were stationed in 43 star systems, protecting peaceful species from aggressive neighbors. The Krillian horde had been completely destroyed. 3 other hostile species had decided to become peaceful rather than face human military power. But the most satisfying report came from the Etherian system. The elves were rebuilding their colonies, and their population was growing again. Children who had hidden in caves during the Krillian attacks were now playing in safe gardens, learning art and music and poetry. The galaxy was still a dangerous place. There would always be bullies and conquerors who wanted to hurt innocent people. But now there was also a force for good, a species willing to fight for those who could not fight for themselves. In the depths of space, Captain Thompson stood on the bridge of the Iron Fist as it patrolled the border between human space and the unknown regions beyond. Her ship was no longer just a weapon of war. It was a symbol of protection, a promise that evil would not go unchallenged. "Ma'am," her communication officer called out, "we are receiving a distress call from the Vega system. Unknown hostile forces, attacking civilian targets." Thompson smiled. It was not a cruel smile, but one of determination. "Set course for Vega system, maximum speed." "Yes, ma'am. Time to arrival, 4 hours. Signal the fleet," Thompson ordered. "Let them know the Iron Fist is responding to another distress call." As the great warship turned toward the Vega system, its weapons powered up and its crew prepared for battle. Somewhere in that distant star system, innocent people were in danger. But help was coming. The humans were coming, and in a galaxy that had known too much darkness. That was a light that would never be extinguished. The age of human protection had begun. The galaxy would never be the same.